Welcome to Field of Dreams on NCBN TT. I'm Steve David, and I'm your host. Today I talk football as usual, and I have with me, well, viewers, you would not believe this. He has a name with the two biggest footballers in Trinidad and Tobago. That's Dwight DeLeon. Welcome to the set, Dwight.
Thank you, Mr. David. Pleasure to be here.
And Dwight, you are the director?
Youth Development
Youth
Officer.
Development Director for Southern
Football Association, yes.
Yes, okay. So, tell us a little bit about, my viewers will want to know a little bit about Dwight. So, this is just barbershop discussion. We're hanging out and we're going to get all the information that can happen.
Okay.
All right? So, give us a little bit of background on your...
Okay, my name is Dwight DeLeon. I am from the SFA region. Been playing football in South my entire life. I started at A&R coaching school with Mr. Rade in Union Hall. I attended Prez and represented their youth teams. From there, branched out. I played for all of the oil companies, Petron, Trintoc, Trinmar, Petron.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I played quite extensively in South, I would say, Uprising Youths, Point Fortin Civic Center, San Fernando Giants. So I've been around youth football for a very long time. Represented the country at the youth level also, under 17s and under 20s, and then I was lucky enough to get a scholarship to the US, where I did, not extensively, but I was around a lot of coaching academies and stuff, so I picked up some stuff while I was over there, and then in coming back home, I just wanted to give back to the sport that I love and that gave so much to me, so I find myself in this position now.
You did anything in the U.S. as far as coaching or youth development?
Not structurally. As I said, I was involved in a few academies. I was just around, and as an assistant coach, you know, means by which to make ends meet while we were in college. So I didn't do any certifications or badges, but I was part of a few setups. So I got the insight as to how they structured their development and how they went about doing things.
So how you hook up with the SFA? How did that happen?
Well, being involved in football, I was always close to the fraternity, you know. In networking conversations in South, ended up meeting Mr. Latif and we began discussing football. He was also the sponsor of the secondary schools football league, so we were working on something before, and then, you know, the opportunity presented itself whereby the SFA was having the elections, and him being passionate about football and wanting to help and make a difference, he asked me if I'd be a part of his team, and I accepted, and I'm sitting here with you today.
There you are, right?
Here I am.
So I know SFA had a youth football program that didn't last a very long time.
No.
It went through like a tournament kind of, but
Yes.
it happened. So you were the one who developed that, or is it part you would like head up that whole development and
Yes, well,
make it happen?
I am the head of the youth committee, and we did manage and run the youth division football for the SFA this year. We took office about a month and a half, 2 months ago, and we wanted to ensure that we reintroduced youth football into the zone as quickly as possible. We had the restrictions of having to deal with the Colleges League starting training, so we decided to have one round of football for all the teams that were registered, and it was completed in a month. We still have one or two rescheduled games that have to play, but everything ran relatively decent with the parameters that we had.
So you guys just based that on academies, or every team in the South Zone had to have a youth team? How did that work?
We opened the tournament to most everyone want to participate. You had to be an affiliated member of the SFA. If not, you had to pay a registration fee to join. This year we had 3 academies that came on board. I think this is the first time that those 3 academies have participated in the SFA Youth Tournament, so that was good. As well as we had some of the traditional teams in Madden Strikers, Uprising Youths, Point Fortin Academy. So there were some of the stalwarts that were there, but we had some new introductions, and hopefully next year we can get some more to expand the player pool, expand the league, in a sense.
What did I feel like last year they had a Southern Youth League?
Yes, they did. Yes, they did. But that was under the previous board. So it was planned better. They had more time, so they ran the 2 legs and I believe a knockout competition. We don't have the ability to do that this year simply because of the time constraints with Colleges League. So we've just done the 1 round of league football.
So if I was an academy out there
Mhm.
listening to this program and I wanted to get, or not even academy, a team,
Mhm.
and I wanted to get onto this next year, how is that going to work out? How do I make that happen?
My advice would be to contact the SFA and become an affiliate member. An affiliate member gives you the benefits of being able to access and get access to all of the programs that we'll be delivering in the next 4 years. So we intend to roll out quite a bit of educational programming, and affiliate members would have the option of being first in accessing those things. So I would suggest that if anybody wants to be a part, we welcome all comers. You call the SFA, you register with us, you become an affiliate member, and you can participate.
You know, I'm involved in football and in Trinidad and Tobago, and I don't even know a number for the SFA.
That is true.
So how does people go find that?
Well, as it is now, since COVID, we have no offices. So we're in the process now, so the new executive has taken office, we're in the process now of trying to find offices. Traditionally, the home of football in South was Skinners Park, but that is no longer. We've made attempts to get back the offices there, but things haven't gone the way we wanted to, so we're in the process now of trying to find offices. In the meantime, contacts can be made to the president, the general secretary, and with regards to youth football and youth development, myself.
So, and tell me if I'm wrong, or tell me, this youth program happened real quick, and it went like up and down like the wet fireworks. So that fire happened real quick.
Yes.
Is it that we try to get that, try to get too much in too short space of time, or we need more time to plan, or what?
Well, the reason that we had such a curtailed or short league was simply because of the time we took office and the preparations that schools require for the colleges league. So we squeezed it in.
Right,
but in going forward, it will definitely be a longer tournament with better pre-planning. So we'll begin planning this tournament next January. We hopefully will have a lot longer time to play football, a better structure of tournaments, so that we can gain more benefit from it. We want to start doing a lot of different things. We need to start assessing these players, keeping track of them, understanding where they are, what the coach's goals are, what the team goals are, do they fall in line with the SFA's goals and holistically the TTFA's goals for development. So from next year, well, not even next year, the league is going to be finished now, and my work will start immediately to start planning a proper developmental league and a developmental process. So yes, what we did there was very short. It was rushed, I will have to admit that, but we just wanted to make sure that we reintroduced youth football to the Southern Football Association on behalf of our new executive.
Right.
So we had it in a very compressed period of time.
And what's the network? Because we have SFA has youth football, but there is no other place that I know has youth football other than little tournaments run by different people. Right. So how does that come together and connect to help the whole country?
Well, a lot of these zones, I don't want to say they're in disarray, but they're not properly constituted and structured at this point in time. So they are in the process of getting those things done. Some of them still have to have elections to get their border management on stream. When those things happen, everybody should be following the same pattern. So we would have the same age groups, but for all of the different zones. Therefore, hopefully we get a lot more participation in the other zones, and we grow the participation in South so that we have a larger player pool, and from there we take it forward. When we have something consistent going, then we have the ability to pick teams, scout players, and create a holistic program that could benefit the country.
Now, if I was TTFA, let's say, I am TTFA, I am Anton Corning or somebody in that capacity, and I had something structured to put into place, and now I am sitting there and the SFA run ahead of time, and they did a quick ad hoc kind of league to make things happen, and nothing else is happening. I'd be like, you're spoiling my whole plan.
Yeah.
And how do you integrate with TTFA, and what part TTFA have to play in this?
Okay. So from what I know and from what I've seen, the TTFA has a very comprehensive youth development plan.
Okay.
Very comprehensive. It does its best to take into consideration all facets of Trinidad's football, as well as facets of our culture. And working with the parameters that we have, some of them are very limited. Parts of the plan are being disseminated to the coaches at the different coaching licenses. The entire plan, though, from what I understand, with the last I heard, there are some tweaks based on some of the last coaching courses, some suggestions that came in. There are some tweaks that they want to implement, and those need to be revised, revisited. Plan needs to be passed by FIFA, I believe, and then it would be ready for rollout. So as I think now, we are the only fully functioning zone. So I have requested the information. I've been told that it would be forthcoming. I just have to wait a little while to get it. But when they get that, we will try to move in unison with the TTFF, as all the zones should do.
Right.
So we have a comprehensive understanding of what youth football should be, and everybody's on the same page. So we have consistency of development.
Yeah, and you hit the nail on the head, because my whole thing is, did SFA get the blessing from TTFA to push this, or this was pushed like a little minor youth league, or you know what I'm saying?
No, we definitely had the support of the TTFF normalization committee. They were at the opening. They have sanctioned the league, and they are in support of us. So,
well, not the SF. I know the SFA.
the TTFA is in support of what we've done. Yes.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So it's a sanctioned league, and SFA is the first to roll it out, probably.
From my understanding, yes.
And we're hoping that other leagues like NFL, CFL, whatever, FL.
I believe the CFA is also running their youth league right now also.
Okay.
They're in the process of running it now. I am not sure about the other zones. I'm not sure that the North Zone is properly organized. I'm not sure about the East Zone. I know Tobago tends to have their stuff kind of together a little bit more than Trinidad's, but I'm really not sure of what they're doing over there.
Yeah, because, and I'm an advocate for a youth league always. And when we formed the Veterans Football Association, I thought that was ideal for us as an organization to run youth football in the country. And so we had a whole program set up to do that. But again, you know, we don't have the manpower or the aggressive manpower to make that happen. And it never ran. But now I'm seeing a lot of programs here and programs there where youth football is run.
Yeah.
And I would like to see that happen, because I think that's where our development will have to start and go. And it's good that TTFA, I mean, not TTFA, SFA is trying to get something done. But I still want to make sure that we get it done the right way. Having people like yourself might make that happen.
I am in total agreement with you there. I am very happy that these individuals have taken it upon themselves to start leagues in the vacuum that was created with no TTFF running. It has been beneficial for the kids. You know, they have an avenue to express themselves and possibly seek opportunity. I'm going to use the word but it's not really a negative but. But what is the goal? You know, how does this fit into the broader landscape of Trinidad's development plan? Does it cater for Trinidad's development plan? In some instances, I would say yes, to an extent, but in the majority, no. If we were to be able to get all of these entities on board with complete buy-in and understanding that what you're doing is not necessarily for yourself, but for the benefit of Trinidad and Tobago, and we can get a streamlined approach to all of these tournaments, it could be beneficial if we could implement some tracking, some player tracking. We could possibly get some analytics on the players, you know, because there are instances where some of these kids are playing 10, 15 tournaments for the year and scoring probably 150 goals. We don't have a clue. That kid may not be on a colleges league team. He may not have the ability to play for a recognized team in his county or area. We wouldn't know about him. but this boy is scoring 150 goals, but there's no tracking. So we don't know. You know, even though there might be a referee's report where you could see that he scored the goals, nobody's collating this information for us to know holistically, you know, these players are scoring goals here, we have better defenders here, are we defending well? We don't have a record of the cards, you know, we don't know how these tournaments are formulating the referee's reports. Can we then extrapolate information from that to get a sense of where the football is going? Are we tackling too much? Are we getting too many cards? Do we need to improve our stand-up defending? What is the assist ratio between teams? Like, we have no information. We need to start getting information. We're way behind in that regard, and that will help us a lot. How many left-footers do we have in South? Nobody knows. We need to know these things. These simple little things we need to know. How fast are these kids sprinting? Are they anywhere near international level? We have no idea. So these are the things we need to start to implement.
And that's what I'm saying. I mean, you hit every nail on the head as to our programs is just out there, and it's being run by people. I mean, you sound very qualified, but it's being run by people who just want to see things happen.
Yeah.
And not in a structured manner.
Correct.
And
I don't want to cry down these guys, because without people like this, football in Trinidad would never have gotten anywhere. We speak about now these one-man shows and the problems that create with clubs, but these are the people that have nurtured our football and our footballers from time immemorial, and we can't just cast them to the side. We need to bring them on board. We need to let them understand that you need to bring some youth on board with you to help you get into a position of better administration, because we need to start with administration to get away from the one-man club scenario, but we need that love and we need that passion these people have generated throughout the years. We need it. We can't just cast it to the side and say no more with the one-man show. We need to develop the one-man show. We need to keep those people with that passion and love are essential to the game. And we have to find a way to incorporate all of that into a holistic movement to take us forward.
All right, Dwight, this is so interesting for me right now. So I want to sit down with you right now and talk so much about this. So we need to take a break, but when we come back, we pick up where we left off.
Definitely.
Okay, viewers, we'll be right back after the short break.
Change Shark TV, tell us something, boy, better stay calm, be cool.
Okay, welcome back, viewers. For the ones now tuning in, you're looking at Field of Dreams on NCBN TT. I'm Steve David, your host, and I have with me the two biggest names in Trinidad football, but there's one person that is Dwight. And Dwight, we were saying, we were trying to put the pieces together as to our youth programs, and this is quite interesting for me because I have a lot of passion for our youth program, our youth development, because I mean, what else? We have to give them an opportunity to be the best they can be. And it sounds like though you have a good idea how this is supposed to happen, but we still, organization-wise, we still need help in making this happen throughout the country and not like in one isolated areas and stuff. So I mean, maybe you can, if I could ask, how do you see this unfolding, or what way do you feel like it should unfold to make it a proper structured youth program?
I believe it needs to be, for lack of a better term, a complete restructuring and rebuild. We need to start with, there are many places to start. I think at this stage, the best place for us to start, we have to pick somewhere, would be administration, club administration. Clubs need to understand the benefits of being properly structured, organized, formulated. You need to be registered, not registered with the SA, but registered as a legal entity. It is a must. You have to have a constitution. You need to have proper accounts. You buy bags of ice, account for it properly. You buy cones, account for it properly. Why? Because when you're structured like this, when you have proper administration in place, you can then approach a sponsor. And they would be more inclined to give you money because they know where their money is going and they know what their money will be used for, as opposed to, I'm a grassroots organization, I doing real things for these youths, give me some money. No, they have to account for their money also. So that would be one of the places to start. Now you can access funding. After you access funding, now you start implementing proper developmental techniques in line with what the TTFA has implemented. So everybody should be on relatively the same page so that we can now start building something uniform and concrete in the SFA. And from that, we will then build on top of it. So we continue development, we make sure that the correct phases of development are implemented, we make sure that they are adhered to, and then we implement constant assessment. Because we need to assess these players, we need to assess the coaches, we need to assess the academies to ensure that everybody is performing the way that they should. And we build on it step by step by step. We're not going to start at the top and then try to come down at the bottom. Albeit said, we can't forget the top. We still have seniors that need to play football, so we have to facilitate them. But in my opinion, the focus needs to be on the youth. We need to be able to put out, one, we need a larger pool of players. I was having a conversation with someone, and again, we don't have the information, but let's say we have 5,000 youth players playing football in South Trinidad. I don't think we have that much, but let's just say we do. That's the size of one club in the US. One club.
I know.
One large academy in the US will have 5,000 and over players. That's our entire player pool. And that club has a uniform, the club in the States has a uniform development plan. So every single player in their club at 6, 7, 8 years old, let's just use a term, they can give you 100 keep-ups. Not in Trinidad. You're going to have a 6-year-old who may be able to do 10. You're going to have one who could do 30. You might have one who can do 100. And they're all on the same team, and they're all playing the same game. When those kids are on the field, that excellent player is going to be shortchanged because his teammates can't facilitate what he needs. That's going to hinder his development. It's also going to hinder the development of the kids that haven't reached to that stage because they're in a situation they probably should not be in. It damages their confidence. Players' confidence is damaged. Our coaches have the psychological ability to bring them back from that. Those are the things we want to implement. So we are also, with regards to structure, we're looking to leverage the MOU that the TTFF has signed with, with UTT, where they would assist with psychological development, administrative practices, and that sort of stuff. So we want to bring them on board. Even if we can't get that on board, our goal is to primarily help the clubs with their administration. We need to get up to date. We need to be a little bit more automated. It needs to be more systematic. And from there, we continue the development process. But I believe we need to start with the clubs understanding that you, as the entity, you need to be solid. You need to be professional so that you can demand that from these players that are coming in. You coach, you walk on the field in a slipper and a short pants and you're, hey fellas, let me go, let me go, let me go. The days for that need to be done. Those things need to be done. We need to understand how to communicate with the players. What is effective communication, how to get them inspired, how to get them motivated. So the development has to come, the assistance has to come, and we will be here to provide it as best as we can.
You know, you are so absolutely right on this, and now that I hear you, that means you've been a part of the U.S. program AYSO. And I always say that the U.S. has it so structured. Every weekend you go out, you see in every part of the United States, thousands of kids playing football.
Yeah.
And running all over and going crazy. And like you said, one club has 5, 6, 10,000 kids.
Yeah.
Because they have so many different teams and different levels and different all of that.
Yep.
And we are so far
behind
from
Correct.
Structurally have that kind of formation. I don't even think they understand it. They could see it.
No.
Now they need somebody like yourself into the TTFA level with other people to try to make that happen. And it's not going to just happen like that. But I feel you because I think you know what I'm talking about. You've seen it.
I see that, and I think that there are a lot of people in Trinidad who know it and who've seen it. I'm not alone. I don't think I'm saying anything that hasn't been said in the halls of football throughout. It's just a matter of getting it done, the desire to get it done. Who wants it more will get it done. I've been a product of the system. I've seen the benefits, and I've definitely seen the shortcomings. And I can tell now that the kids are different, and if they're experiencing anything like the things I experienced, it's going to be very hard for you to progress out of the situations that you're in. You have to have a mindset of not being able to be stopped by anyone or anything. And we're not developing that in kids, for one. Kids are allowed to quit when they want now. That's just something in general. Parents are allowed to quit. I don't want to do it anymore, and you're done. So all of these things, we need to start to smoothen out. You know, unfortunately, those types of kids, this is not for you. The academy is not for you. If you don't have the wherewithal and the desire to work hard and stay disciplined, move on. And we need to start that. A lot of coaches are looking at the dollars and cents. They don't want the player to leave because there's money in their pockets. But is this player a detriment to the rest of your players? Is his attitude corrosive? Is he just there to pick up a space when there's a child that would want to do something more beneficial in the situation? So all of these types of assessment we need to do. We need to be a little bit ruthless in some instances, you know, as well as with the clubs. You don't want to come up to scratch, you will not participate in the SFA. That is my implementation for next year's Youth League. If you're not properly structured and your administration is not up to a certain level, you will not participate. It is simple. We need to get there. So there's no more hand-holding. We need to get there. I will begin implementing these things within the next month or two in time for next year. But if you're not properly structured, you will not be a part of the SFA because we intend on doing some things. We have plans. I don't want to speak about them now, but we have plans for youth football. And if you're not properly structured, I reiterate it again, if you're not properly structured, you will not be a part of it. Everybody will be given enough time. They will be given the assistance that they need to get where they need to be.
Right. And I mean, there is so much education, is parent education.
Yes.
Is probably the key because, you know, in the U.S., and I keep have to say that, the parents come and they sit there and they watch the kid throughout that whole session. I see here the parent come and drop the kid off and they go and they go wherever and they go to work or whatever, and the kid is there running around and you have to wait with them, and it's so uncoordinated or so horrible after you see something structured happen. Kid come to parent dropping off, no water, no nothing. So you have to find all everything. They don't pay anything either. Yeah. In the U.S., the parents and they put money into this to make it happen, and we saying we don't have money, but they put money into that. We don't, and we don't have the funding to make it happen.
Yeah.
So they have the funding, they have the sponsors, and the parents still put money in, and they still bring the kid with a jug of water and the different things.
Yeah.
So chalk and cheese, man.
Chalk and cheese. I mean, we also have to take into consideration the cultural differences. So that is something that is at play, and we have to understand, and we have to find a way to work around it. Again, clubs are properly administrated and properly set up. You now have you have access to sponsors. So you are able now to possibly provide some of these things, because our culture is different. Parents not necessarily going to come every day to sit down and watch the kids. We can encourage you, we can employ you. There are those that will, but the majority may not. And that's what we have to work with. So we need to find a way to motivate these kids, keep them functioning and keep them going without necessarily the support of their parents. Parents in a hard position. Society is completely different now. So I agree with you in that what the US has going on is way, way, way superior to us. But I also do not holistically buy into the pay-for-play model, because a lot of kids get left behind with that. A lot of kids get left behind with that. So we need to find a way to integrate all of these systems so that we can find the best avenue to be able to produce what we want to produce, which is a better quality player and person for Trinidad, not just the SFA, but for Trinidad.
Right. You know, and how do you answer to this? Especially when the academies is not properly run, and in one area they have, let's say, 3 or 4 smaller teams, they call academies, but teams, you know, the size of academies we're talking about, but we have little teams, and then one kid wants to go from, parent wants to take the kid from that academy to this academy because they like how it's structured, they whatever, and then the coaches and the both academies fighting. You taking my players and all that kind of. How you answer to this kind of?
Well, I am actually experiencing those issues now with the youth league for the first time, and there's a lot of ego, which is understandable, but everybody needs to understand now that this is not about you. It's not about you. For instance, if the player that you're claiming or saying is your player, if that player wants to leave to go to a different environment, these are kids and this is youth development, allow the child to go in peace because he's more comfortable. If he's comfortable over there, fine. If he doesn't get the benefit that he was getting by you, then that's on the child and the parent. But if the child is comfortable, let them be where they're comfortable. And if you are a development coach and you're worth your salt, it shouldn't be a problem because you have 3 more coming. And that is what it should be. We have a lot of coaches at the under 13, the under 15, and the under 17 levels in Trinidad. They're trying to win tournaments. And I understand because I was part of the system. It's what we know in Trinidad, but for the purposes of development, that is not the way that we need to go. What you should be coaching at the sidelines of an under 13 game is structure. Structure, discipline, coordination, paying attention, understanding spatial awareness. Look at where your players are. Keep the shape of the team. Not put it long, score the goal, hit the man a hard tackle. We need to get away from those types of things. And again, it's because of what's been embedded in the culture for such a long time. So it's an uphill battle, but it's where we intend to go. Those are the things we have to work with. I was part of it, so I know it. And I know we have to start to try to pull coaches out. What will help a lot is when we get younger talent on board who wouldn't necessarily be, I don't want to use the word tainted, but the experience would not have been what we would have had for the last 20 years. Somebody with a fresh insight, fresh understanding, who's willing to try and do different things. Now, with that being said, a lot of the teams in South have brought on younger coaches, which is very good, and we are able to now have different types of conversations with them. So again, when the league is finished, we will have a sit-down where we will discuss several things with the coaches and describe to them the avenues that we want to pursue, the directions we want to go in, and do our best to get the buy-in that we need.
And in that same breath, I need you to explain to the viewers as well as to when you're in a nice structured academy, like you talked about, and you can see a player and you can know which academy he came from, just because how he plays, how he runs, how he thinks, you know.
It's a signature. So, you know, everybody would have their own little tweaks and processes that they want to implement, but it should be within the same solid structure that everyone else is operating in. There are phases of development, and everybody needs to pay attention to these phases. Now, in those phases, you are allowed to create your own programs once they are in line with the objectives. That's not a problem. I use the word create as though we can restrict, but if everybody is on board, we understand that these are the phases of development and these are the parameters with which we need to work. And inside of there, you can develop your own skills. Like we were talking offline, when you look, I don't know if people know him, Kenny Lai, you look at his players. From the minute they touch the ball, you can tell that's a signature of Kenny Lai, you know. Santa Flora ball players in South, Coach Cox, the minute his players touch the ball, you know where that player came from because they have that style. They have that, and that's consistency by the coaches.
Right.
Consistency. There are few teams that, youth teams, that when they put 11 on the field, it's a solid team, whereby everybody is capable of executing the same basic tasks. We don't see that, and it's because we have these peaks in development. There's no consistency flowing through the academies or the developmental structures. We just play in football.
Right.
Now there are, I want to say that there are teams and there are clubs that are doing the right things, but it is not consistent enough where we're seeing a solid product in the leagues.
I think, you know, having somebody like yourself, you should be at a higher level. And I mean, SFA is trying the best, but in the TTFA and get a few of you guys, relatively young guys who have seen it and understand it, to make this happen and come through our system, because our systems definitely need people like yourself, man. We're going to take a break now, but when we come back again, we're going to pick up where we left off. And I am so happy to hear what I'm hearing this morning.
Glad I could please.
Viewers will be right back after the short break.
Trinbago Heritage, every Wednesday at 8 p.m. on NCBN TT Television Network. Trinbago Heritage, every Wednesday at 8 p.m. on NCBN TT Television Network.
Okay, welcome back, viewers. All right, Dwight. There is so much to get the train moving in the direction that we want to for youth program. But I mean, we have to start somewhere, and the SFA has kicked it off, and I'm sitting here now thinking, how do I, or how can I help in moving this train with all the other leagues and stuff? Maybe give Anton Cornell a call and say, hey, we have Dwight who has real knowledge, and he might have some other people with him who can help move this train. But I want to see this train move.
Yeah.
And what do you think we should? How we start, man? How do we start?
Well, we have a president of the SFA in place who is wholly on board with bringing football out of the doldrums and back where it should be. So to start with, I think we need the right people in place. And the SFA has the right people in place at this point in time. It is now a matter of creating the structures and implementing them as best and efficiently as possible, which is what we're attempting to do now. That is the process. So we have the Youth League recently concluded with a couple of games left, and we have the senior tournament, which is running. On conclusion of that, we go into restructuring and rebuilding mode and start getting things in place for next year and the years to come. We have a model to follow, which would be what the TTFF wants as a mandate for the associations to provide, and we intend to do that, but we also intend to go a little bit beyond that, because we want the South Zone to be where the South Zone was, which is the leader in Trinidad and Tobago's football, while contributing holistically to the betterment of the whole thing. So while we would like to be the pilot project, we are more focused on getting things right in South by firstly implementing the correct structures and getting buy-in from the shareholders. That is the first thing. From there, once we get those things in place, it should be a relatively smooth trickle down into the other avenues that we want to develop.
You know, and SFA happened, but I didn't really see it happen. When I say, I want to see, like I see in the U.S., on the weekends or on the holidays, hundreds of kids going from a few different fields. We don't even have 2 fields.
Yeah.
So, you know, going from, and they're playing, and then after that, if you go over by McDonald's, it's full of kids because they now come back from playing soccer and they're enjoying themselves, and they don't care who win or who lose, like some of the coaches on the academies. So it's not they're playing to enjoy themselves, improve the skills to go on further, not to win a game.
Yeah.
So when are we going to get there? Or
we definitely will get there. You touched on 2 important things there: fields, facilities, which we don't have in South right now. We've had a horrible time in getting facilities to play. We were hoping that Skinner Park would have been what it was in the history of SFA, but that is not happening. The field it's unplayable. What they've done to the field inside there, we tried. The whole of South is trying to understand why. Why have you done that? Then the backfield, it's not fit for kids to play football on. You know, we need help. We need assistance. I don't want to go down the road of blaming anyone, because it's not a blame game. We just need to get where we need to get to. Yeah. We know that we need fields, and we need to do everything that we can to get those fields prepared and ready, whether it be lobby the regional corporations, whether it be get private sponsors on board, whether it be provide equipment for the teams to try to maintain the fields themselves. Whatever we need to do, we're going to have to do it. We're not going to spend time complaining about what wasn't done and what should be done. It needs to be done. We need to find a way to do it. Let's get it done. That is going to be our drive going forward. Yes, there are going to be hiccups. Yes, there are going to be hurdles, but we just have to overcome them. It's no ifs, ands, buts, or maybe, because we're losing generations. Not just of footballers, but children on the whole. We've seen where Trinidad is going. We're seeing what's happening with our youth, and football is an avenue to save them, and we intend to maximize it fully in doing that. So we need fields. We definitely need more fields. We're going to do everything we can to get more fields. We need better structure in the clubs. And another point you touched on there is the player pool. We need to dramatically and drastically increase the player pool and increase the coaching pool. So one of the things we want to do is possibly roll out a massive grassroots coaching course in South, where we can get as many people to come in as possible, so we can get those guys to go back in the community, because we always have the fathers, the uncles, the big brothers who love the game, love kids, want to help provide, but some of them just don't have a clue of what they should do. Yeah, so we want to give them the tools and the insight to be able to go back into the community, and you can then understand how I can create drills just using the things I have around the place. I don't necessarily need all the cones and the markers and all of that. I can do something small to get more kids playing. This may also be a controversial issue, but we have a very large immigrant population that is going to continue living in Trinidad. So I believe we should start incorporating them into the football also, because they are now part of our culture. They're going to be here. We have a couple I've so far found one Venezuelan football team with all Venezuelans. It will be my goal to get them incorporated and affiliated with the SFA next year, because we need more players. We need more players to choose from. We need more coaches coming. We need more competition amongst everybody. So those are that's one of the things that we want to do to try to increase the player pool, increase competition amongst the players, and hopefully that starts generating a better product. That, coupled with structured academy coaching, that should give us a relatively decent foundation to start building from.
And I don't know if you ran into this, but in the U.S. too as well, and I keep bringing up these so we can get a vision of what they're doing, why the football is pump up so quickly. They have the parent who does coaching, and they have the people who are qualified as coaches. But when we quit playing as professionals, every club, and when I say club, you know the size of them, had a professional, that club professional they call him. So one of the ex-professional players who kind of takes, gets involved and
mentors the kids.
And mentor.
Yeah.
And they're excited, the kids are excited. And when you show up to one of the, because there's so many different teams in that club, you show up for when they practice, they're so excited, and they run and go crazy. Yeah. And all these kind of motivational things happen for the kid.
Yeah, it's all about the kids. It should be all about the kids. That's a great idea, and that's something I didn't actually think about, but we do have our local personalities who would give the kids incentive to want to be better. Leon St. Louis, you come and you sit down, you give a story to these kids about your time in Boa Vista. You tell them about your trials, because in my instance, when I was going to the States, I didn't have a clue. I did not have a clue of what to expect when I went over there. I was given a story last night to a friend of mine. My first semester over there was tumultuous, because for the life of me, I could not understand why I'm not starting. I'm better than the guy who's playing in my position. Why am I not playing? And it was simple. I'm a freshman and he's a senior. But I didn't have that simple understanding of what to expect when I went over there. And that's a big issue for kids. Not necessarily in that scenario alone, but they don't know what is expected of them at the different levels. And a lot of the times the coaches don't know, because the coaches don't have the experience.
Right.
Yeah, as I said, it's one-man shows, and it's guys who love the game and love sports and want to do something for the community. But they don't have the experience. They've not seen what the competitive level anywhere else is like, so they can't gauge what to do. They can hear stories, they can probably see some videos, but it's different when you're actually immersed in it to see it. And for instance, I know personally, at least 8 guys who I played football with in Trinidad that are coaching in the US at the youth level and are extremely successful. They coach at NCAA universities, and they coach at some of the larger academies over there. And they are extremely successful, but they're not coming back home. Do they want to come back home? Definitely. My phone rang incessantly for 2 days after we were elected. with these guys saying they want to be a part of what we're doing and they want to come home and contribute. But do we have the facilities in place to help them? Do we have the facilities in place to make it worth their while? At present, no. For the SFA, we intend to provide those things. We intend to leverage what information we have, to leverage the people that we have, to try to bring the zone up to a certain level, whereby, again, it could be used as a template. We would like for it to be used as a template for all the zones going forward.
And I hear in the FSA singing that song, and even with the league, but it's hard to believe how it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And I'm not seeing the light at the end of the tunnel as to how that's going to happen.
I am an eternal optimist.
Okay.
So I see the light, but I realize that there's a large cavern in between where we stand and where that light is. We have to build that bridge.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the begin all and the end all. We have to build that bridge. In order for us to reach where we want to reach, we have to build that bridge.
But we have to come together as one.
As one, yes. We need
yeah.
we need buy-in. We need all the coaches, all the administrators to understand that this is the direction that we're going, and everybody needs to be a part of it. Not for you, but for the entire footballing population. It's not about you winning a tournament. It's about you producing 20 quality players. That's what it should be. You win on the 20 tournament, what are you getting? Nothing. Nothing. But if you develop 20 quality players, guess what? 2 of them might end up on a professional team somewhere else in the world, and you may have some compensation to come back to yourself to help develop the other boys. What is beneficial, though, is that we are part of the FIFA Connect system.
Right.
So we have all the players being logged on so that they can be tracked in the event that they are sold on at some point in time. But something as simple as that, we've had tremendous hiccups in the coaches registering. You know? Simple things like registering, we cannot get right. And it's because the systems weren't in place. They don't understand the ramifications of it. Some of them don't have the discipline to get it done. They don't see it necessary. But as simple as registering your players and registering your team, we cannot get that right. So we are starting from the bottom. We're starting from the bottom and we're working our way up to the top. We know it's going to be a hard road, but that's what we signed up for, and that's what we're going to get done.
Yeah, and we're going to get there. More people now is registering. From last year to this year is a lot,
yeah.
more. But still, there's the bigger boys now, the SFA, what do you call it? SFA, South Zone League, right? Yeah. It's starting. I mean, it's not flowing.
Yeah.
And I think this should be flowing by now, but it's not actually flowing.
Yeah. Well, again, we have had issues with grounds as well as the referees. So these things are being sorted out now as we speak. We've had 2 successful rounds so far. We have another round playing this week. We're assessing the situation as it goes along. Mm-hmm. Every week we have to make adjustments because fields are an issue. Fields are a real serious issue. And it's amateur football, so, you know, a lot of things happen on the fly that you just have to adjust to. Mm-hmm. But you are right. It needs to be a better flow. It needs to be more organized, better structured. We will get there. We will get there. The president has part of his mandate to bring football in the SFA to a certain level. And he's a very focused and determined man. And with him at the helm, I think we will definitely achieve the milestones that we want to. And we will see a difference in football in South in the coming years.
Yeah, I think we kind of, football went from 8 teams to a bunch of teams, and so that makes it a little bit harder, but I think everybody who wanted in got in.
Yeah.
They did not like, they didn't weed anybody out.
No.
So I think that makes it a little more tedious, and then with the referee situation and all the different things and no grounds on, I think it's a battle.
It is a battle, but we're fighting.
Mm-hmm.
It's a battle, but we're fighting, and we do intend to stop fighting. We will get it. This is the first year. Next year, you're going to see improvements.
Right, and hopefully that happens. And with the kids now, there is a lot of little, what do you call that, football tournaments because they don't have anywhere to play.
Yeah.
But if they had a good structured league in the different zones, and then they could make that happen and then play each other like inter-zones and whatever.
Exactly.
Well,
That is what we want to do. I would like to bring as many teams under the umbrella of SFA as possible from my selfish perspective so that I can monitor and track all of these players. I want to first off know who do we have, what do we have. So one of my major goals will be to expand the youth zone, to expand the youth leagues as much as we can, and from there start implementing some sort of tracking system where we would at least know the basics. We have 500 players, 50 of them are left-footed, 450 of them are right-footed. These are defenders, midfielders. Just some basic information that we can start working with and putting things together to see where we are and what we need to start doing. So, again, it's going to be an uphill battle, but we signed up for it, and that's why we're here. We intend on getting it done.
All right, sad to say we only have a couple of minutes, but any parting words, Bud, that you want to share with your viewers?
We are very grateful as the SFA to be put in charge of football in South. We would like your patience, we would like your understanding, and we definitely need your support in getting football where we need it to be. And it can't be done with us alone. We need the help from the coaches, we need the help from the administrators, we need the help from the parents, we need the help from the public. This is for all of us. It's not just about a few. This is for all of us. We are all being affected. And we need to understand that, and everybody needs to be a part of it going forward.
Dwight, I want to thank you so much for being here, but you gave me a lot of hope and encouragement, and I would try to get some energy back into youth football and see the best I can make this happen. Thank you again for being here.
Thank you for having me, Mr. David. We'd be glad to have you on board. We need all the help that we can get, and I'll definitely be taking you up on that.
No problem. Viewers, thanks for tuning in every Tuesday night at 8 o'clock. We have a Facebook page. You can check us out, and we have an email address, fieldofdreamtt@gmail.com, where you can drop us a line. NCBN TT, thanks for the opportunity. This show has ended. Go in peace. I'm Steve David. Good night.